Welcome to Pro Billionaires, your go-to YouTube channel for the most inspiring success stories. Here, we share the remarkable journeys of individuals who started with nothing, facing adversity and obstacles, and transformed their lives to become self-made millionaires. Our content is designed to provide you with powerful lessons on personal growth, resilience, and the mindset required to achieve massive success. These stories aren't just about money, they're about overcoming struggles, persevering through tough times, and believing in yourself when no one else does. By watching these stories, you'll gain invaluable knowledge that will help you grow in your personal and professional life, with plenty of motivation to keep you moving forward on your own path to success. If you're ready to take your life to the next level, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new story that could change your future. Let's unlock the keys to success together. He grew up in a neighborhood where dreams were smaller than the houses people lived in, where the only future most kids talked about was surviving the next day. His name was Darren, and from the moment he could remember, life was about scraping by and finding ways to stretch a dollar further than it was ever meant to go. His father left before he turned 5 and his mother worked 3 jobs to keep the lights on and food on the table. There was never any talk of college, never any savings, never any vacations, just the daily grind and the constant pressure of not having enough. Darren wasn't born with privilege or opportunity, but he did have something else, an unrelenting hunger to prove that where he came from didn't have to define where he was going. He would watch the wealthier kids walk past his cracked sneakers in their shiny branded shoes, and instead of feeling envy he felt fuel. He worked part-time jobs before and after school, mowing lawns, delivering newspapers, even sweeping up at the local diner for a few bucks and a leftover burger if he was lucky. At 16 he started reading books about wealthy entrepreneurs, sneaking them from the library and returning them before anyone noticed. He was fascinated by the minds behind companies, the risk-takers, the visionaries, the people who created something from nothing. He wasn't sure how, but deep down he knew he would one day be one of them. His first big idea came from a simple problem in his community. No one could afford new furniture, and used furniture was often too expensive or too hard to find. Darren saw opportunity in discarded couches, tables, and chairs that people left on the curb. He started collecting them, fixing them up, repainting or repairing what was broken, and then selling them through flyers and word of mouth. He made his first real $100 in a weekend, and it felt like $1 million to him. He reinvested every penny into tools, better paint, a used van he bought with the help of a neighbor who trusted him enough to co-sign the loan. It was hard work, long hours, and he was still a teenager juggling school and his makeshift business, but something had shifted in him. He started getting noticed in his area. People would call and ask if he could find them a table or refurbish an old chair. Eventually a local community center let him set up a tiny corner to display his work. It wasn't much, but to Darren it was a store, a dream coming alive before his eyes. He kept his head down, stayed away from the distractions that had swallowed so many of his friends, and focused on building something that could one day set him free. When he graduated high school he skipped the traditional route. No college, no dorm room, no student loans. Instead he rented a small garage and turned it into a full-time workshop. It was cold in the winter, brutally hot in the summer, but he didn't care. He had customers now, not just in his neighborhood but from neighboring towns, thanks to word of mouth and social media, which he had started learning to use from free online tutorials. He created an Instagram account, posting before and after pictures of his work, and people started paying attention. A viral post changed everything. One of his transformations, an old rocking chair he had restored for an elderly woman, got shared by a local influencer. Suddenly his inbox was full. People wanted to know who he was, how they could buy his work, and if he took custom orders. He didn't sleep for days, answering messages, fixing up pieces, delivering them in his beat-up van. He was exhausted, overwhelmed, but also more alive than he had ever been. He reinvested again, hiring one of his childhood friends to help him manage orders and another to assist with the refurbishing. It wasn't just a hustle anymore, it was becoming a company. He named it Second Chance Furniture because just like the pieces he saved and transformed, he too believed in second chances. He started thinking bigger, dreaming louder, envisioning a future where his story would be more than survival, it would be legacy. Darren never forgot the nights he went to bed hungry or the mornings he walked to school with holes in his shoes. Those memories didn't haunt him, they pushed him further. When customers walked into his growing shop, they didn't just see furniture, they saw passion, resilience, and a young man who refused to settle for the hand he was dealt. He had no formal training, no investors, no blueprint, just grit, a bit of paint, and a dream he refused to let die. As the business began to grow, Darren found himself facing a new set of challenges. Managing a growing company meant making difficult decisions, and for someone who had never been taught how to run a business, it felt like he was learning on the fly. He had to deal with suppliers, contractors, and growing customer demands, all while balancing the pressure of keeping the dream alive. But with every challenge, Darren grew more resourceful, more determined. He began learning about finances, marketing, and logistics, soaking up information like a sponge. Then, as if the universe decided to test his resolve even further, disaster struck. A warehouse fire destroyed everything he had worked so hard to build. All the inventory, the tools, the furniture, gone in a matter of hours. It felt like the world had come crashing down on him. For the first time in years, Darren considered walking away. The dream, the hustle, the late nights, it all seemed like it was for nothing. But as he stood amidst the ashes of what was once his livelihood, something inside him refused to quit. The next day, Darren did the unthinkable. Instead of closing up shop, he took what little he had left, a few tools, some materials, and a handful of customers, and set up in a small, temporary location. He worked day and night, rebuilding his business from the ground up. The fire hadn't destroyed his spirit, and if anything, it fueled his drive even more. He used the setback as a springboard, pouring every ounce of energy into rebuilding and expanding in ways he hadn't considered before. He learned that failure wasn't the end of the road, it was just another opportunity to grow. With renewed focus, Darren found ways to connect with new customers and expand his reach. He started using digital marketing strategies to promote his business and attract a broader audience. He learned about SEO, paid ads, and email marketing. His ability to adapt was what truly set him apart from others who might have given up after such a disaster. Soon, his small business was no longer just a local operation. Darren's reputation for quality and reliability spread far beyond his town. His Instagram following grew exponentially, with people from all over the country wanting to buy his furniture or commission custom pieces. He began shipping across state lines, creating a network of customers who trusted him to transform their homes. It wasn't just furniture he was selling, it was a piece of his story, his hard work, and his passion. But Darren wasn't done yet. While his business was thriving, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was meant for something bigger. He had started with nothing but his hands and a vision, and now he was running a successful company. But what if he could do more? What if he could use his success to help others who were in the same position he had been in, struggling, working multiple jobs, unsure if they'd ever break out of their circumstances? Darren began to dream even bigger. He started a foundation focused on helping young people from disadvantaged backgrounds learn the skills they needed to build businesses of their own. He used his own story as a platform to inspire others, speaking at schools, local events, and even online webinars. The message he shared was simple: no matter where you start, your future is in your hands. As Darren's personal brand grew, so did his business. He began collaborating with designers and other influencers, leveraging his newfound network to create high-end custom pieces and limited edition collections. He had become a force to be reckoned with, not just in the furniture world, but in the broader entrepreneurial community. And as he stood on the verge of turning his small, local business into a global empire, Darren couldn't help but reflect on how far he had come. From the boy with a dream and no money to a man on the cusp of unimaginable success, he knew that his journey was just beginning. Darren's journey wasn't just a personal triumph, it was a story that resonated with millions. People saw themselves in him, in the struggle, the setbacks, and the unwavering determination to rise above it all. And just as quickly as Darren's business had grown, the challenges began to multiply. As the scale of his operation expanded, so did the complexity. It wasn't just about refurbishing old furniture anymore. Darren found himself overseeing a global operation with factories in multiple countries, supply chains that spanned continents, and a team of employees who depended on him. The weight of it all threatened to crush him. He no longer had the luxury of working alone, his business had become an empire. There were moments when Darren questioned whether he was still in control, whether the dream he had built was slipping away from him. For the first time, he wasn't just focused on growth and innovation, he was focused on survival. As competitors emerged, as the economy fluctuated, Darren had to make decisions that weren't just about keeping his business afloat but about ensuring its legacy. In the midst of this chaos, Darren received an unexpected offer, a multi-million-dollar buyout from a massive corporation that wanted to acquire Second Chance Furniture and integrate it into their existing brand. On paper, it seemed like the perfect solution, an exit that would secure his future and allow him to step back from the daily grind. But Darren wasn't just in it for the money, he was in it because he believed in the power of second chances and the potential to change lives through his work. The idea of selling out to a faceless corporation didn't sit well with him. Instead of accepting the buyout, Darren took a bold step. He doubled down. He made the decision to transform Second Chance Furniture into something far bigger than it had ever been, a lifestyle brand that represented more than just furniture but a philosophy of perseverance and possibility. He invested in new technology, new designs, and new partnerships. His focus shifted to creating an even stronger community around the brand, one that wasn't just about selling products, but about empowering people to believe in themselves and their own potential to overcome adversity. But as with all success stories, there were sacrifices. Darren's personal life began to fray at the edges. Long hours, constant travel, and the pressure of running a global enterprise took their toll. His relationships with family and friends grew strained. He missed birthdays, anniversaries, and family reunions, all in the name of the business. He began to question whether the dream was worth it if he was losing the people he cared about most. In the quiet moments, when he was alone with his thoughts, Darren would think about his mother, who had sacrificed so much for him to have a chance at a better life. He thought about the neighborhood he had come from, the struggles he had faced, and the promise he had made to himself, that he would never let his circumstances define him. But now, as he stood at the pinnacle of success, he realized that he had sacrificed some of the very things that had fueled his drive in the first place. Determined not to let his success become his downfall, Darren took a step back to reevaluate his priorities. He began setting clearer boundaries between work and personal life. He hired a team to handle the day-to-day operations and delegated more responsibilities to trusted employees. He started spending more time with his family, reconnecting with the people who had always been there for him. Darren learned that success wasn't just about achieving his goals, it was about maintaining balance and staying grounded in the things that mattered most. By the time he reached his 30s, Darren had achieved what many would call the impossible. From a boy with nothing to a billionaire entrepreneur who had created a global brand, his story was one of grit, resilience, and relentless pursuit. But even more than that, it was a story of redemption, a tale of someone who had taken the broken pieces of his past and transformed them into something beautiful. Darren's company became a symbol of hope for people around the world, a reminder that success doesn't have to be handed to you. It can be earned, through hard work, vision, and an unwavering belief that anything is possible. His story was no longer just about business, it was about changing lives, empowering people to break through their own limitations, and inspiring a generation of dreamers to reach for something bigger than themselves. As Darren stood at the peak of his success, looking out over the empire he had built, he knew one thing for sure: this was only the beginning. The next chapter of his life was waiting to be written, and he was ready to face whatever challenges came next with the same unyielding spirit that had carried him from broke to billionaire.